What's up, everyone? This is basically Bailey's best. Bailey Kavanaugh, what's up? In the building. I am almost 4 weeks postpartum. I'm talking quietly because she's asleep right here. 4 weeks postpartum. I had my baby April 19th, 2020, during the COVID-19 coronavirus global pandemic. I wanted to share my birth story just in general because it was crazy. All birth is crazy, but this one was just a lot. And I also kind of wanted to share my thoughts on what it's like to have a baby during a global pandemic for anybody out there that's still going to be giving birth during this time. So first I'm going to start by telling my birth story, and then I'm sure there will be little tidbits along the way about coronavirus. I don't know. This is all just like, you see these dark bags under my eyes, and while the big kid is chilling. So I have an 8-year-old daughter who was born April 17th, 2012. I'm sure you've seen her on here. So I was pregnant right around the same time with this little girl whose name is Maeve. I'll try and put it somewhere in here, okay? And then I'll insert a picture right here. I was 8 days late. So I had been going to the doctor every week in the last bit of my pregnancy. And I was at 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 40% effaced for like the last 3 weeks. And I was pissed because I really want to do this naturally. Also, let's go ahead and just preface this with, I wanted to go natural, okay? Don't know why. I'm one of those crazy people that wanted to see what my body was capable of. And my first birth was kind of traumatic. And in the sense of my brain blocked out a lot of what happened, and I also was on hella drugs because I was 19 and the doctors basically just did whatever they wanted to. And so I just really wanted to like experience this in God's glory and how God intended it. So I wanted to go natural. I was 8 days late because we were trying to give my body time. My OB was gonna let me just go over the weekend, so I was only gonna go like 3 days over, but I knew, or I felt like, if they had to give me PITOCIN, which is the drug they give you to progress labor in the sense of making your body have contractions at a more intense speed and intense pain level, because if you speed things up, your body's not naturally doing it, it's going to be a lot more painful. I knew that if I got PITOCIN, I felt like I was going to be backed into a corner to have to get the epidural because I did not feel like I was going to be able to withstand that pain. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to withstand the pain of like natural progression. And so I felt like I was going to be backed into a corner. So I was like, hey, if we're not at a risk for anything, can you just let me go at least a week, like at least to like 42 weeks, because at this point I was already a couple of days late, past my due date. So she said, yes, that's fine. So the kicker was that my OB was also pregnant, and that was going to be her last week of delivering babies. So we already established that she probably was not going to be delivering my baby. So the person I had met with my entire pregnancy, boom, don't have her anymore. That's crazy. Also, if you're in this time right now, global pandemic, New York is like the worst right now, and they actually banned doulas, midwives, and any partners, like birthing partners, being in there with you. So it was really, really scary to think that, no, I wasn't gonna be able to have anybody else in there with me, but for God's sakes, I wasn't gonna be able to have my husband. Like, that was just gonna be too much. Like, I don't even know what would have happened. A lot of women have, really rethought their birth plans and thought about having a home birth or going to a birthing center, and these places are probably overcrowded and way overworked right now because people are just panicking about COVID. And it was like 1 week I went in for an appointment, and it was, oh yeah, you'll go in through like the mother baby entrance so you won't be exposed to everybody else. And then the next week it was, oh, we closed mother baby down, you have to go to the main entrance. So like every time I went in, I was asking tons of questions. It was very confusing. It was very like fear mongering, just a ton of crazy stuff, right? So that is the setup of, here we go. So on Saturday, the 18th, I, you know, had been kind of resting because I knew my body was going to have to like go through this intense, crazy experience naturally, but also like trying to move my body as much as possible so that my body would actively go into labor. So at one point, I think I was like, you know what, I'm going to do like an hour on and an hour off and an hour on and an hour off. So we went downstairs in the garage and we were just like cleaning out the garage because, you know, you nest like crazy. So we went to the garage, we started cleaning things out. We hung up this tree pod thing for Emma. It's like a tent that hangs from a tree that she can like swing in. That's big kid, Emma. And all of a sudden I felt like I maybe kind of peed myself. Like, you know, there's all kinds of stuff going on down there during pregnancy. Okay. So like, you gotta really know. Okay. So it wasn't like this big gush of water. It was like, I feel like my water probably broke, but obviously I wanted to labor at home as long as possible because A, you're more comfortable at home, you have more resources at home, but B, the COVID stuff was just insane that A, you know, you didn't want to be at the hospital any longer than you had to. And you also like didn't know what they were going to say, what the protocol was going to be once you got there. So I wanted to be with my husband as long as possible. If for some reason they did decide, which they didn't, to not allow spouses. So that was at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, the 18th, the day before she was born. Okay. So I knew I wanted to labor at home. So I labored and it was very like comfortable, but enough to know that you're probably in labor. I was timing my contractions. Brett is like, okay, I'm gonna shower and I'm gonna get everything ready and oh my God, blah, blah, blah. We already had the hospital bags and everything packed in the car because we knew we were gonna be going to appointments and stuff that were at the hospital, like the office is right next to the hospital. So if for some reason I was progressed and they were like, yeah, go ahead and go down there and we'll go ahead and get you taken care of, we had all of our stuff with us. That was not the case. By 9:15, I went ahead and texted my aunt who was coming over to watch Emma and said, you know, you probably should like make your way over here. Don't rush. Like, you know, it's not a big deal. So anyway, she came over and got Big Kid taken care of. And that just made me feel so much better because I just felt like I didn't have to worry about anything at home. Everything was good. I was in a really good state of mind. I was very calm. And I knew that once we hit the hospital, things were going to like really ramp up, whether it was like mentally, emotionally, or physically. So we got to the hospital, we left here at like 10 and then got to the hospital at like, you know, 10:15. So you walk in and there's like all these huge signs, everything's taped off, you have to stand 6 feet apart, socially distanced, you were supposed to have a mask on, or you know, you have to hand sanitize, and then there's a nurse down in the lobby waiting to take your temperature with just the ones you don't even touch people with, like a laser. And so she takes her temperature and, you know, at this point, like I feel like I'm kind of like picking up a little bit. I'm like being pretty positive. I'm like, this is great. Like we're here, it's going to happen. My body's doing what it naturally should. So I thought. And so we got there. Okay. Got our temperatures, went up to the floor we were supposed to go to for labor and delivery. They checked us in. The people that were so funny that she was like, girl, you are 8 days late and you're at 2 centimeters. We are going to make you stay. We are going to have this baby today. Girl, don't you worry. She was great. She made me feel so much more at ease. So then we get back there into the room and like they have a room at first that they like check you in to make sure that you're in active labor or going into labor so that they can check you in. And obviously they want you to stay more so now, I feel like, in regular life because you've already been exposed to the hospital. Like they don't want you to have to go and redo all this again. It's very, very strict rules with COVID. So I go into the room and this is where it all begins. They checked my cervix. Felt like they were a linebacker digging in a cave for gold. Okay. It was not comfortable. It was very like not a warm interaction. Okay. Like these people weren't funny like my other people were. These people were just like whatever. So she checked my cervix and I'm like, holy crap. It doesn't matter how uncomfortable I say that I am. She just keeps on going. And I know that they were just doing their job and they really wanted to make sure that like I could stay at the hospital, but still hot damn. So then they take like this paper test. It's like a pee test or whatever, but it's like to see if there's amniotic fluid. So they tested me, my water had broken. That's great. Fantastic. Right. So again, I don't have my regular doctor. So some new doctor comes in And this is all while they're asking me a bajillion questions, and they're giving me an IV right here because I didn't want it here because I wanted to be able to bend and move and like be on a ball or do whatever I thought I needed to do. But okay, so it was this young nurse, and God bless America, she blew my IV out. I'm gonna post a picture here. So she blew it out on this side. Mind you, I am not a person that likes IVs, shots. I cringe, I faint. Like, it is just awful. How I thought I was gonna have a baby, I don't really know, but I did it. So she blew my IV out on this side, and this is all while the nurse is asking me a ton of questions. This new doctor lady is standing right here, and she's like, yeah, girl, you're only at a 2 centimeter. And I'm like, oh, that's exciting because I wasn't at a 2 before, I was at a 1. She's like, no, that's not really good. We're gonna go ahead and give you some Pitocin. And I was like, pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. I want to do this naturally. I've explained that before. You're a part of the practice. I don't know if you didn't read the notes on my account, but I want to do this naturally. And she was like, well, I'm sorry, because your water broke at 3 and it's now 10:30 at night and you were positive for group B strep, there's a risk for the baby to have sepsis the longer you don't deliver. Why did my doctor discuss this with me when I actively asked her multiple times, hey, I'm gonna labor at home as long as possible, is that okay? Hey, is it okay if I wait till the 42-week mark? Hey, is it okay? No, didn't discuss anything of that. I would have gone in immediately at 3 o'clock had I had known, but I was doing what I had to discuss with my doctor, who wasn't there. So I was very overwhelmed, to say the least, because all my plans were being changed. There was like multiple people up on me. There was a nurse right here, there was a doctor right here, and then there was a lady right here asking me questions. It was just crazy, right? So she blew out my IV, and I was like, so like, I know there was a lot of blood, but like they have to do it again. Yeah, so then they have to do my other arm. Okay, can't do it, okay? But I did. So then as she's doing this one, she blows this one out almost. And then this nurse that's asking all the questions literally just steps in and is like, you're good. So the chick just blew me out and tried to put, you know, the tape with like the window, you know what I'm talking about, the window tape. She puts that there, and there's blood all underneath it. Had they tried to rip this off when the blood dried, I think my hair or my skin might have come off with it. I don't know. So then this chick, while this port's in my arm, and they all kept saying, I'm like, yeah, but there's a needle in my arm. No, there's not. It's just a port. Guys, it's a skinny piece of something in my arm that's not supposed to be there. I don't care if it's metal or plastic. I don't like it, okay? So anyway, she takes it off, and then she's having to wipe everything down. Oh God, I'm like literally getting chills as I'm talking about it. So whatever, they get that fixed for the third time, okay? All while, then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna have to test you for coronavirus. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, so they bring out this hard Q-tip that's about this long, I'm just kidding, it was like this long, not kidding, and dig into my brain. I think Brett has like pictures of me in this room. I'll try and insert them here. It was awful. So they did this thing, all while this arm is killing me. This one has a thing in it, so I'm like holding it really still because I don't want it to be killing me. All while my cervix is hurting because this lady just tried to dig to China. Then I cried. That was when I cried. So finally when they got done, I just started bawling, and Brett comes over, he's like, oh my God. And he just had to watch the whole thing. There was nothing he could do. He knows how much I hate IVs. He knows how uncomfortable I was. And he was sitting there at the foot of the bed. Like there was no other place for him to sit except for like grand front row view, okay? So he just comes over and he hugs me, and he's like, I'm so sorry, you were so strong. That was like the worst. I know you were getting so overwhelmed, but there was like literally nothing I could do. I'm like, you hugging me right now is the best thing ever, right? So they decide, yeah, we're gonna check you in, right? So we get up, and I'm in a gown. Obviously the back is like completely open and my butt's hanging out, everything. And at this point, there is a little bit of dignity and pride left, okay? So I'm like, I'm trying to cover it, right? After you get in that room, it doesn't even matter, okay? So my nurse comes in. Her name is Katie. She is amazing, okay? Amazing. She ties my robe in the back. She's like, come on, girl, we're about to have this baby. You are awesome. You got this. Super calm, totally matched my personality and my vibes. Love the vibe she was putting off, right? So we get to the room, and she's like, okay, girl, you know, Dr. Such and Such said, we're gonna go ahead and put you on a drip 1 of Pitocin. So there's levels 1 through 6. And I'm like, girl, come here. She's like, yeah, girl, what's up? I said, can you let me labor naturally for like an hour? She was like, girl, I can't go against what the doctor said. I can talk to the doctor again. I'm like, no, because that doctor ain't moving anywhere. She ain't, she pissing me off. She pissing me off. She's like, listen, I can buy you 30 minutes. I'll go real slow and I'll take my lunch real slow. Okay? I'm like, thank you. I love you, girl. Labored for 30 minutes, did a cervix check, still at a 2 centimeter, 40% effaced. Nothing was happening. I was very pissed. I was just sad because I really did not want to get the epidural. Obviously, I'm not good with needles, but like, I can't see that needle. And I remember with Emma a little bit, it was just like really uncomfortable, but it wasn't like that chick digging in my arm over here. I'm sure that was a little bit worse. So whatever, we tried to labor for a while. At this point, it's probably like midnight. And it was just like, time went so fast, but so slow. So Brett is hungry. If you know my husband, you know that he is always hungry. Okay, so we packed this huge snack bag, obviously, and he goes in there and grabs the most disgusting snack of raw almonds. They're not even dry roasted, and he's like, oh my God, these are awful. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I don't know why you didn't just pick up a granola bar. So I'm like, listen, nothing's going on right now while I'm on Pitocin 1. Why don't you just like lay down for a second, because this is gonna be a long night. So he's like laying down, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wow, these are really uncomfortable, right? Then it just it became almost unbearable. It was, okay, so the pain got so bad that I was like, I feel like probably the next contraction, I'll make the decision to get the epidural. It was so bad that I was like, I can't believe that it's this bad. Like, I didn't feel like natural childbirth would have been even this bad, but I feel like because we ramped up, like, it like happened so fast after she gave me that drip. So I was on a Pitocin 1 for an hour, and then I don't even know, it was so long. So then we had stretched it out. So then we bumped up to a Pitocin 2. And at this point, I'm like, I don't think I can take it anymore. I was so scared. I like literally when she said we're gonna have to bump it up, I was like, this is definitely where I'm gonna make the decision. I have the epidural. But then it was like, she was like, do you want me to go ahead and check your cervix again? Because I knew, okay, I forgot to say, I got to a 4, from a 2 to a 4 after being on the Pitocin and through that much pain after like an hour or 2. I can't remember exactly. And I was only at a 4. I was like, there's no way I can do this for that many more hours at a more intense pain. Like, I just don't think I can do it, right? So she was like, do you want me to check your cervix again? And I was like, yeah, sure. So at this point, I had been in a lot of pain. Like, Brett, the way that he helped coach me by just saying, okay, we're up, we're going, now we're coming down. Because, you know, the contraction is, it's going to get bad, then it's going to go down, then you're going to have a rest period, right? So I knew if I can just make it through this next one, I can do it. I can make it through this next one, I can do it. So he would hold my hand, and instead of me squeezing his hand, because I wanted to try and relax my body as much as possible, he would squeeze my hand, and that way there was some type of like different pressure point that I wasn't focusing so hard on the contraction. And my mechanism that I learned from, I cannot remember her name, I will put her YouTube in the description box below, but I listened to like all of her videos, is a breathing technique. So I would go in 1, 2, 3, 4, out 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. In 2, 3, 4, out 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? So I did that for 8 hours. And it really did help me. And I would literally kick my feet like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, like while I was breathing in super big and out super big. So then she gave me the Pitocin 2, and that was really bad. There were moments that I thought I'm so deeply retracted into my brain that there's no way I'm coming back from this. And I would start to panic because it was such an intense, quick pain, that Brett would have to say, no, don't go there. You got it, stay focused on me. And I just stared into his eyes and just drew a lot of my strength from that, and listening to Jesus music. I listened to a little bit of music. Half the stuff that I said that I was gonna want, I did not. But you never know, you have to be prepared. So at one point, they tried to put me on the ball, which was super uncomfortable because I was having these contractions and I just wanted to like be able to just rest and lay down right after the contraction. And on the ball, you still kind of have to like have some stability. But I mean, it did help with like the pain, I guess, not the comfort, but the pain. So at one point, she brings in a peanut ball. My nurse, she brings in a peanut ball, and she's like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and really ramp this thing out because I know you're in a lot of pain. This peanut ball is gonna take you fast, and then it'll be over. And the whole object here is to not get away from the pain, but to get your baby. Not get away from the pain, to get your baby. The whole end goal is to have a happy, healthy baby. And I just like focus on that so hard with my head. So we get on the peanut ball, okay? I'm on my left side. It's in between your legs. It's literally shaped like a peanut. It is so uncomfortable. It is not relaxing. It's way too big for my tiny T-Rex legs, okay? And on my left side, I was fine. I had to stay there for like 3 contractions or something, and then, or 6 contractions. And then I turned to the other side and was on it. And after about the 3rd contraction, I was like, my back is seizing up. And obviously I'm not saying full sentences like this. I'm like, my back. And it was horrible. I think my muscle is still like damaged from how bad it was seizing up. And she was putting her hand on there, and she was so tiny and cute and gentle, the nurse, Katie. And she was putting her hand there, and she was like, she's turned the wrong. Are you having back labor? And I'm like, it's bad. And she could feel the muscle doing this, and she's like, she's turned the wrong way. And I was like, what? Like, what? So she's not breech turned the wrong way, but she was facing the wrong way. Like, she was supposed to face one way. I think she's supposed to face my right thigh, but she was facing my left thigh. So then she made me do this weird maneuver where I had to lay on my side on the bed and then take this leg and put it over the bed and like hang it off the bed and twist my back. Again, I'm like the size of a beach ball. And you're so cute. And I had to do that for 3 contractions on each side. It was horrible. That was probably the worst one right there. Like, as far as like contraction wise, those were terrible. I was so uncomfortable. It was just a lot, right? But it did get her turned the right way, and my back labor did stop. So I'm very thankful that my nurse made that decision. So anyway, so they come in. After that, the doctor comes in. She tells her what happened. We got her facing the right way. We're doing really good. So then she's like, okay, we're gonna do a cervix check. I'm like, great. So she checks my cervix, and I'm at an 8. And I was, I was excited, but she was like, wait a minute. And something was wrong again. I was like, what? She was like, you have a FOREBAG. I'm like, excuse me? Again, I'm not in full sentences. And they did a wonderful job at communicating with someone who barely spoke. I had an extra bag of water chilling up in there, which was preventing my body from progressing the way that it should have. So I was like, wow, fantastic. So they had to stick it's like a plastic sewing needle type of thing. It's like a loop. I don't even know. They had to stick that in there and pop that. Again, I'm having to lay flat on my back, which is already uncomfortable for a pregnant woman in the beginning, and frog my legs up like this and put my feet and ankles together. Whoa! In order for them to be able to get to where they need to get to. So it was just not comfortable the whole time. So she pops that. That was actually somewhat relieving. And I think only because we were just in between contractions and it was some type of different feeling rather than a contraction or not a contraction. So she's like, so I'm having it, and then all of a sudden I'm having a contraction again. I'm talking, they were like 30 to 60 seconds apart. And I'm at a PITOCIN 2. There were even contractions that there was no rest in between, that it was back to back, that my contractions lasted like 90 seconds to it was just crazy. And then she's like, do you want me to check your cervix while you're having a contraction? Because I feel like that breaking that water really did help us out. And I was like, no, this is too painful. And she was like, you want me to check it? I promise to God, you want me to check it? And I was like, I don't care. Like, just, you're gonna have to make the shot right here. Like, again, this is what I'm thinking in my head, not really what I'm verbally speaking. So she checked me during a contraction. Really fun. And she's like, you're at a 9. I'm gonna let you push. And I was like, wait, we're already here? We're about to push? I'm about to have this baby? Like, again, this is all in my head, and I'm having like maybe 5 seconds to think before I start actively ramping back up for another contraction. And she puts me on the ball, because I don't even know what that is, but she put me back on the ball, and she's like, you need to let me know when you have an urge to push. And then I was like, I think I have an urge to push. I didn't really know, because I was in so much pain from the contractions. Like, it was an overwhelming pain. And so I'm having contractions while I'm having to get up on this bed and get on this ball and all this other stuff. And so I'm like, they're like, okay. So they're like, put your legs in the stirrups. But y'all, throughout my whole pregnancy, I had super bad sciatica. My pelvis was like split in half well before like my body started releasing the relaxant. I know, puppy, I know. And so anyway, I was like, I can't lift up my legs. Mind you, again, I did not have an epidural. It just was so painful for my back, my pelvic area, and my tailbone and my hips that Brett had to pick up one leg and put it in, and my nurse had to pick up another leg and put it in. So pause, okay? It is now 7 o'clock in the morning of April 19th, okay? We have been in labor for that long, from 3 p.m. the day before until 7 p.m. or 7 a.m. the next morning. My nurses change shifts at 7. They work 7 to 7. So my doctor and my nurse were both like, yeah, we're about to clock out. I'm like, excuse me, what? But luckily, these are some fierce women, and they decided to stay. They're like, no, girl, if you're at a 9 when you're contracting, and 9 centimeters when you're contracting, we're gonna stay. I love these women so much. So I get the urge to push. My nurse, Katie, is still there. A new nurse is there. Her name is Kim. Hey, Mom, what's good? That's my mom's name, who's passed away. And my doctor is still, the new doctor, but the one that's been there with me the whole time through labor, is there. And so she's like, I need you to push. I'm like, okay. So I'm pushing. And it just feels like, you know, when you're like in a dream and you're punching someone and you just keep missing and you're punching with all your might, but you just feel so... That's what it felt like when I was pushing. Obviously, I still had the pain of contractions. It was the craziest feeling I have ever felt in my entire life. I could feel everything. So I'm pushing, and all of a sudden, I hear one of the nurses say, we need to grab the forceps and the vacuum. In my mind, I panicked, but no response came from me whatsoever. And my doctor said, no, I think she's got it. Give her a chance. And I remember that so vividly because I was terrified. And, you know, there's like 20 people in this room, probably 10, but it was a lot of people. And she's like, we have to stop for a second, Bailey. And I just, because I had pushed and I screamed the F word just one time. That was the only time I cussed, but it was right when she dropped into the Ring of Fire. If you don't know what the Ring of Fire is, the chick that I linked below, I think she talks about it, but it is exactly what she says it is. And so I'm just sitting there with a baby in my birth canal, and this woman is trying to talk to me and have a civil conversation, okay? She's like, Bailey, she had to say my name 4 times. She's like, I can't progress until you, I can't go on until you look at me. So we made eye contact, and she was like, listen to me carefully. This baby, and she like glances at the monitor, really needs you to come out. Like, really needs you to to push her out. Do you understand? And I just went like this. She's like, I need you to give me all you got, and then you got your baby. But give me 2 more good pushes. 2 more is what you get. This baby really needs to come out. And this was like her way of not panicking me, but also telling me that like, if you don't go ahead and get this out, something's gonna go wrong, and you need to really come on. Like, I wasn't trying my hardest, but obviously when the stakes are high and you're a mom and you're trying to provide for your baby, whether that's during birth or after, you go Hulk mode, okay? So Katie is standing right here, my nurse, and she's like, head down, hold your breath, give it all you got, girl. And I pushed, and Brett said my face looked like it was going to explode. My blood vessels were like coming out of my face. It was like purple, it was insane. And I pushed, and then she's like, I need 1 more. And I pushed, and then she came out. And It was just insane. They laid her on my chest, and I didn't even know what to do. I was just looking around because at that point, you know, everyone starts moving. Like, okay, we gotta get the umbilical cord, we gotta do blah, 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 blah. I don't even remember. I mean, I do remember Brett cutting the umbilical cord, but obviously I couldn't really see anything. And I had her on my chest, and she was like fresh, and I didn't even know what to do. I was just like so in shock. I just kept doing this, and I just kept saying, God is so good. God is so good. What just happened? God is so good. And it's like this adrenaline rush of like endorphins and oxytocin that runs through your, I think oxytocin is the right word, I don't know. But it was just this flood of happiness, but still in sheer shock. Obviously, this is well later, days later of me recording the rest of that story. I had to finish the story later because she started getting hungry and fussy, and then I was taking care of the big kid, so obviously I was not able to film and do all that at the same time. But that is essentially my whole labor and delivery story. Obviously, I am now in the 4th trimester officially, and we've had wonderful postpartum experience. Not to say that it hasn't been hard or stressful or frustrating or super challenging for me. And not only that, but like my husband and my daughter and my family. But yeah, so thanks for following along. If you made it this far, you rock. And I'll probably be doing more videos of the postpartum life, and probably just start doing like a day in life videos of newborn life or 2 kids or all this stuff. So I'm now 5 weeks postpartum, or she's about to be 5 weeks old in 3 days, and it's crazy, but in the end it is 100% all totally worth it.